Some people hit 80 like they're aging in reverse. Others barely make it past 65, and it's like life just slowly dims the lights. The difference? It's not just genetics, it's what nobody's talking about. Let's just be real for a second. Aging doesn't hit everyone the same way. You've probably seen it yourself. Some folks in their late 70s look like they could lead a yoga retreat in the mountains. They've got this glow, eyes sharp, mind quicker than yours on your best day, cracking jokes, playing with the grandkids, and moving like they've still got a few decades left in them. And then there are others. People the same age who seem like they're disappearing before your eyes. Tired, withdrawn, just fading. Now it's easy to chalk that up to luck. Oh, he's just got good genes. Or she's always been like that. But let me tell you something as a doctor who's spent over a decade knee-deep in senior health. It's rarely just about DNA. It's about habits, mindset, and this one's going to surprise you. It's about what no one talks about out loud. See, I used to think that vitality after 70 was all about diet and movement. And sure, those things matter. Eat the rainbow, walk every day. We've heard it all before. But in my practice, I kept running into something strange. The men who stayed vibrant, the ones who were laughing through their annual checkups, had something extra, something almost rebellious. They hadn't shut down, especially not that part of themselves. Yep, I'm talking about the connection they still had with their body, their sensuality, their sexuality, their right to pleasure, even solo, especially solo. And I know, that's where half the room shifts in their seats and the other half suddenly remembers they left the oven on. But stay with me, because this is one of those aha moments that changed how I looked at aging entirely. There's a very real, very measurable link between staying connected to your sexual self and keeping your brain sharp, your heart strong, and your entire body functioning like it still wants to be here in 20 years. When that part goes dark, not from choice, but from shame or neglect, the decline shows up faster than you think. It's not about being young again. It's about staying alive in every sense of the word. So why do so many people fade out instead of thriving? Why do some 75-year-olds feel 45 and others feel like they've hit a wall at 60? The answer might just be in what they're no longer doing and what they were told they shouldn't even think about doing. I used to think I'd never bring this up on camera, not because I'm shy. Trust me, I've talked about bowel movements while someone was holding a sandwich, but because this particular topic tends to make people either laugh nervously or change the subject entirely. Self-pleasure, masturbation. Yep, I said it. And if your instinct right now is to pretend you didn't hear that, take a breath. We're going there, and I promise it's not going to be weird, just real. I grew up with the same messages a lot of people did, that it's shameful, that it's something you grow out of, that it doesn't belong in the conversation once you've hit a certain age, especially if you're a man over 60, living with arthritis, grandkids, and a growing list of prescription meds. Society practically hands you a pamphlet that says, "Thanks for your service, now please stop enjoying yourself." And people accept it, they let it go quiet. Not because they want to, but because they think that part of life has an expiration date. But guess what? That's a lie. A very outdated, very unhelpful lie. I've met men in their 70s and 80s who still light up when they talk about intimacy, whether it's with a partner or just with themselves. And I've met others who say, "I haven't thought about that in years." You can feel the difference. It's not about sex for performance. It's about pleasure for health, for self-worth, for feeling connected to a body that's still yours, even if it creaks a little more than it used to. It's wild to me how much silence surrounds this, because science doesn't whisper, it shouts. Staying sexually active, even solo, improves circulation, boosts hormones that keep bones strong and muscles toned, supports brain function, lowers stress, helps you sleep, and even protects your heart. We'll get into all the nerdy details in a bit, but for now, just sit with that. The body doesn't retire from pleasure. That's not in the manual. What usually happens is shame, guilt, and outdated beliefs sneak in and start flipping switches off, one by one, until suddenly you're not touching yourself, not feeling desire, not even thinking about what makes you feel good, and you chalk it up to aging. But what if it's not age? What if it's neglect disguised as dignity? No one's saying you need to perform like a teenager. This is about exploring, staying curious, and keeping that vital connection alive. Not because it's naughty, but because it's necessary. So if your instinct was to laugh this off, I get it. That's what we've all been taught. But hang in. You're not losing your edge. You might have just been told to lock it in a drawer. Time to get the keys back. When I started paying attention to the men who'd quietly checked out of their own bodies, something started to click. I'd see the same patterns again and again. Low energy, brain fog, trouble sleeping. That blank stare when I asked, "When's the last time you did something just for yourself?" And I don't mean watching reruns of old westerns. I mean something that made them feel alive in their skin. Most of the time, I'd get a shrug, a long pause, a change of subject, and suddenly the mystery of why some men seemed older than their years didn't feel so mysterious anymore. Because when you stop touching your body, you stop trusting it, you stop listening to it, and before long, it stops talking back. You're not just missing a bit of fun, you're missing a biological system that's been keeping you healthy behind the scenes. I know that sounds dramatic, but let me paint the picture. Imagine your pleasure pathways, those circuits in your brain and body that light up during arousal like a set of lights in a hallway. If they don't get used, the wiring starts to fade, the lights dim, the hallway gets darker. Your brain still needs to walk down that hallway every day for other things. Memory, focus, sleep, mood. But now it's stumbling around in the dark. When sexual energy goes dormant, stress creeps in. Cortisol rises, your immune system takes the hit, blood pressure inches up, and you start to feel it in all the usual places, your back, your neck, your joints. You think it's just aging, but half the time, it's your body screaming for connection, routine release, and a reminder that you're still in there. I once had a patient, mid-70s, salt-of-the-earth kind of guy. Big hands, big heart, hadn't smiled in months. He'd been through some loss, of course. Who hasn't by that age? But when I finally asked him about his relationship with his own body, he looked surprised. Not offended, just surprised anyone even cared to ask. He said, "I thought that part of me didn't matter anymore." And I'll never forget the way he said it, like someone had told him to put away a part of himself and he'd done it without question. But the truth is, when we shut down that part of ourselves, we don't get more noble. We get more tired, more irritable, more prone to illness. It's not just about missing out on pleasure. It's about missing out on the very chemistry that keeps us functioning at our best. And what's wild is, reviving it doesn't take much, but the first step, believing it still matters. Because it does. I love how people light up when they finally realize this part of their body isn't just allowed. It's encouraged, especially when they learn it's not just about pleasure for pleasure's sake. It's about biology, actual, concrete, doctor-approved science that says, hey, your body still knows how to feel good, and by the way, it's healthier when you let it. Let's talk about blood flow. That alone is a game changer. Every time arousal kicks in, whether it leads anywhere or not, your circulatory system gets a workout. Blood rushes to all the right places, and I do mean all. We're talking your heart, your brain, your downstairs headquarters. That movement matters. For men especially, it keeps those tissues flexible, responsive, and yes, alive. Without that regular surge of circulation, the body starts to stiffen in the wrong places and weaken in the right ones. And if you've ever dealt with erectile issues, you know exactly what I mean. But it goes deeper. Every time you're aroused, even slightly, your body releases this perfect cocktail of hormones. Testosterone starts flowing again, which isn't just about performance. It's about protecting your bones, preserving your muscles, and keeping your metabolism from crawling into a corner. Then there's oxytocin, the one they call the cuddle hormone. It soothes your nervous system like a warm bath. You feel calmer, less tense. It's the same hormone that helps you bond with people, even yourself. And let's not forget endorphins, which are basically nature's ibuprofen with a better attitude. The big one? Sleep. A lot of older men complain about waking up 5-6 times a night, and the number of sleep meds I've prescribed could fill a small pharmacy. But self-pleasure before bed? It's like flipping a switch in your brain that says, all right, shut it down. Oxytocin and endorphins help smooth the transition from racing thoughts to real rest. There's even research backing all of this up. Not vague, not fuzzy, but full-blown published data. Harvard ran a study showing men who ejaculate more than 21 times a month had a significantly lower risk of developing prostate cancer. Think about that. Your body's out here giving you a helpful hint, and it's been labeled taboo for decades. And if that wasn't enough, regular sexual activity has been tied to better memory retention and reduced risk of dementia. It keeps those neurochemicals firing, keeping your brain alive in ways Sudoku can't touch. This isn't fantasy. This is science. This is health. This is your body begging for a little spark and giving you so much more in return. Something incredible happens when a man starts touching his body again, not just in the physical sense, but in the emotional space that gets unlocked. I've seen it more times than I can count. A quiet transformation, like color slowly coming back to a black and white photo. I'm not exaggerating. One day, a guy walks into my office hunched over, looking like he's dragging his past behind him. 3 months later, shoulders back, a little smirk, like he's got a secret. And maybe he does. Touch isn't just skin deep. The moment we start to reconnect with our own bodies on our own terms, we get reminded that we're still here, that this body hasn't given up on us, even if we stopped checking in with it years ago. For a lot of men, especially those who've lost a partner or gone through illness or grief, that first moment of touching themselves without guilt or expectation is like lighting a fire in a room that's been cold for years. One of the saddest things I hear over and over again is, "I just don't feel like myself anymore." And I always ask, when's the last time you actually tuned into yourself? Not work, not errands, not taking care of everyone else, just you. You'd be surprised how many grown men look at me with wide eyes, like I just asked them to explain quantum physics. But it's not that complicated. The body needs to be seen and felt. And not just when something hurts. When we reconnect physically, it's like we're sending ourselves a message. You matter. That's where the emotional healing begins. Confidence starts creeping back in, shame starts slipping out the back door, and joy, the real kind, not the forced smile for the family photo kind, starts showing up again. I had one patient, let's call him Raymond, who came in after a tough year. His wife had passed, his kids were grown, and he said he felt blank. Not sad, not angry, just blank. That word stuck with me. I asked him if he ever gave himself attention in a physical way anymore, and he looked almost embarrassed. He said, "Doc, I'm 74. Like that was the reason. We talked gently, and I gave him permission, because apparently he'd never gotten it before. A few weeks later, he came back and said, "I didn't know I could feel that much again. I thought all that was behind me." It wasn't. It was just buried under years of silence and assumptions. The truth is, when you touch yourself with intention, not just routine, not just boredom, but care, your body remembers, it wakes up, and your mind follows. You're not just healing the outside, you're patching things on the inside you didn't even know were torn. And let's be honest, what other kind of medicine feels this good? Now I know what you might be thinking. Okay, this all sounds great, but how the heck do I even start? And I get that, because for most men, especially those who haven't really touched themselves in years, the thought of figuring out how feels almost as awkward as the act itself. It's like standing in front of an old car you haven't driven in decades. The keys are in your hand, the engine's still in there somewhere, but you're not even sure which pedal is the brake. That's why I came up with something I call the restoration method. And no, it's not a spa treatment or a yoga retreat. It's a simple way to gently invite yourself back into your own skin, without pressure, without expectations, and definitely without trying to relive your 20s. This isn't about performance. It's about permission. It's about exploration. It's about curiosity without judgment. I like to start with the environment. You can't relax if you're worried someone's going to knock on the door mid-session or if the lighting feels like a dentist's office. Find a spot that feels safe, comfortable, private. Maybe your bedroom, maybe the bathroom if that's the only place you get 5 minutes of peace. Dim the lights, prop up some pillows if your back gets cranky, and grab some good quality lubricant. Trust me, that one detail changes everything. It's like wearing sneakers instead of wooden clogs. You'll thank yourself later. Then there's breathing, not just to calm yourself, but to remind your nervous system, hey, this is safe. 10 slow breaths, in through the nose, out through the mouth, Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. Let go of whatever your brain is still chewing on from the day. This isn't a race. There's nowhere to get. No finish line you need to cross. Start slow. And I don't mean tease yourself. Slow, I mean attune yourself slowly. Run your hands over your chest, your stomach, your thighs. Notice what feels good, what's sensitive, what's surprising. Maybe you've forgotten how warm your skin gets when you breathe deeply. Maybe your arms have more sensation than you realized. No need to rush to the main event. This isn't about flipping a switch. It's about turning up a dimmer. And when you do go there, go gently. Use your hand like it's communicating with you. Focus on sensation, not outcome. If something feels good, stay there. If it doesn't, move on. No rules, no right way, just you, showing up for your body the way you wish someone had told you to a long time ago, because this isn't maintenance, it's restoration. Timing matters more than most people think, not just when you do it, but how you align it with your body's rhythm. I mean, let's face it, your body at 70 doesn't operate the same way it did at 25. Back then, it didn't take much. A breeze, a glance, a magazine in the waiting room. But now, you've got to warm the engine a little, and there's no shame in that. In fact, I think there's something kind of beautiful about slowing it down and syncing it with who you are today. Most men I've worked with find the morning is golden, not dawn. Nobody wants to do anything important at 6 a.m., but mid-morning, somewhere between 9 and 11, when the world is calm, the house is quiet, and testosterone levels are naturally a little higher. That's prime time. Your hormones are on your side, your brain hasn't filled up with the clutter of the day yet, and you might actually feel like taking your time. But hey, if mornings aren't your thing, the early evening works too. Around 5 to 7 p.m., when the day starts winding down and you're craving some kind of comfort, some men find that's the perfect window. What matters is that it's your time, not squeezed in between errands or rushed like a chore. You're not doing this to check a box. You're doing it to reconnect, to reawaken, to remember that you're still in here. Now let's talk adjustments. Arthritis? Totally common, especially in the fingers, wrists, or lower back. That just means it's time to get creative. Use pillows to support yourself. Find a position that doesn't make your spine scream. A warm shower before loosens the joints. Think of it like stretching before a walk. You're prepping your body to move gently into pleasure, not pushing it like a gym session. And if you're on ED meds, time it. Those little pills have a window, usually 30 to 60 minutes after taking. That's your sweet spot. Don't wait 3 hours and then wonder why nothing's happening. Your body's giving you a heads up. Respect it. Most important thing? Drop the stopwatch. You're not racing the clock, you're giving yourself time. 30 minutes is a good start. Not all of it will be stimulation. Some of it's breathing, settling, noticing, letting go of that voice that says, "Why am I doing this?" and replacing it with one that says, "Oh right, because I still matter." And you do. Now let's talk about what usually gets in the way. Because no matter how motivated you feel right now, there's a little voice that likes to creep in when the lights go down and the door's locked. That voice is annoying. It questions everything. What are you even doing? This is ridiculous. You're too old for this, and if you've ever tried and then just sort of gave up halfway through, I want you to know, you're not the only one. The first trap is expecting it to feel like it used to. You know what I mean? That full body response that kicked in at the speed of light, no warm-up needed, everything working like clockwork. But here's the thing, your body's different now, and that's not a problem, that's just reality. Aging doesn't mean broken, it means adapted, and expecting fireworks right out of the gate. That's a fast track to disappointment. This is not about pressure, it's about presence. A big one? Getting stuck on one area, you know what I mean? Beelining to the genitals and forgetting the rest of the body exists. But your body is a map, not a button. There are nerves everywhere. Chest, thighs, neck, ears, for crying out loud. Exploring more takes the pressure off one area and makes the whole experience richer, fuller, more human. You made it through war zones, job losses, heartbreaks, and hip replacements. You can definitely handle a little self-acceptance. You've come this far. Don't stop now. You've got the tools, the science, and more importantly, the permission to reconnect with the body that's carried you through a lifetime. This isn't about shame. This is about waking up joy, health, and confidence you thought you'd lost. Try it. Start tonight. Start gently. Your body's not done with you, not by a long shot. If this spoke to you, hit that like button, share it with a friend, and drop a comment below. What's one thing you're taking away from this? I read everyone. You're not alone anymore. Let's reclaim this together.